It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call shots. Todd, are you ready for shot?
Everybody!
Shots is it's kind of a holdover from the old Nerd Bourbon. It's like an idea we had where I think what game was it? Was it Titan Souls?
Yeah, it was Titan Souls.
Yeah, it was Titan Souls had come out, and we didn't necessarily have room to talk about it in like the main podcast, and we're like, well, fuck, I still want to talk about Titan Souls. So Shots kind of was bred out of the idea of like we could do like a 10 or 15 minute sort of mini side podcast to talk about something that won't fit anywhere else, but we still want to highlight it and talk about it and tell you why it's awesome or not awesome. So with that, today's Shots is going to be about the movie Wonder Woman. And Todd, before we get into it, before I ask you how you feel about Wonder Woman, I want to do two things. The first thing I want to do is I want to issue a spoiler warning. This is a Spoilercast. I'm going to put that in the title. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. We can wait and then come back and listen to this. The second thing I want to do is this.
God fucking damn it, that's good.
That theme is so dope. Anyway, what'd you think about Wonder Woman, man?
Oh, I loved it, man. Like, easily the best DC movie so far.
Mm-hmm.
Is it saying much? No.
No.
But still.
Unfortunately, it's not. This is kind of interesting because normally, like, you and I talk so much that we kind of know each other's thoughts on movies, like, or whatever it is, because we just talk about it, like, as soon as we see it. We have not talked since I've seen Wonder Woman, I don't think. I fucking loved Wonder Woman.
It was fantastic.
It was so fucking good. It's like one of my favorite superhero movies, straight up. It's not only is it by far the best DC movie, not including the Nolan Batman movies. Don't be an idiot. Talking about DCEU here. It's like worlds better than here. Let's kind of give where we stand on the DCEU movies. How do you feel about Man of Steel?
Man of Steel. Okay, I don't mind Man of Steel. Like, personally, I don't mind it. I had a lot of fun watching it for the first time. I mean, it's just like Batman versus Superman. Does it have flaws? Of course. But I still like watching it.
Have you watched it recently?
Oh, shit. That's a good question.
I watched Man of Steel right before Batman v Superman came out. I'd seen it in theaters and everything like that, but man, that movie does not hold up for me. Like, I remember enjoying it when it first came out. Like, I think I just sort of had like the rose-tinted glasses on of like, oh yeah, it's a new Superman movie. I love DC so much. This movie's legitimately good. Watching it now, it's just kind of not. Okay. It's not that good.
Maybe I should watch it again.
Just the pacing's really bad, and just like some of the things they do in that movie is suspect. I love Henry Cavill and I love Amy Adams and really the whole cast. And it sets up the universe really well. But anyway, with that, moving on to BVS, I think you and I are almost in the same boat with BVS. Mm-hmm. I fucking think BVS is a lot better than people give it credit for. You know, people shit all over that movie, and it certainly has problems. It has major problems. But at the end of the day, I think that movie does more right than wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think it's treated a little bit unfairly. Suicide Squad just fucking sucks.
Do we like things in the Suicide Squad movie? Yes.
That's what's so frustrating about Suicide Squad to me. There are things, like, not only am I a big DC fan, I'm a big Deadshot fan. And there are some Deadshot things in that movie that are fucking amazing. There are some Joker and Harley things in that movie that are fucking amazing. And, like, just, but it's, like, edited, it's chopped and skewed to shit. And it just, like, I think they said that the movie was edited by, like, a trailer company. And you can tell.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's just like a big, 2-hour-long trailer, basically, and you don't come to care about any of the characters. It's frustrating. That is a fucking frustrating movie. So now leading into Wonder Woman, everybody was sort of skeptical. Everybody was kind of like, I don't know if Wonder Woman's going to be any good. It kind of like, maybe it's going to turn out like Cap 1. I like Cap 1, but it was a little bit like disappointing in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fucking phenomenal. Like, they did such a good job. I don't know if that has anything to do with Jeff Johns' influence, who has taken over the DCEU projects as a sort of creative director. Like, he's kind of trying to like steer the ship in the right direction. And that's what's another thing that's frustrating to me. People are like, oh, DC just doesn't care. And I'm like, yeah, they do, clearly, because they're putting, Warner Brothers is hiring somebody like Jeff Johns to steer the ship, and, Joss Whedon is taking over the reshoots for Justice League, and he's directing the Batgirl movie and stuff like that. So, I mean, they fucking care. They have legit directors and legit people. And, I mean, let me tell you this, you do not get any more DC comics than Jeff Johns.
Mm-hmm.
That man bleeds DC, and he is he's a strong force in DC's arsenal. And for him to be directly involved with these movies is a big deal. And I think Wonder Woman is proof of that. Yeah, let's just get into it, dude. How'd you feel about Gal Gadot? How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Gal Gadot or something. I don't even know.
Gadot, like the T is silent.
We're jackasses. Let's just move on from that. But she was great. Like, I actually was skeptical about when she first got cast as Wonder Woman, but she killed.
Did you like her in BVS?
Again, it's like, did you? I felt like we didn't see enough of her in BVS. But
yeah, she's not in there too much.
Yeah, she killed it. Like, she honestly killed it.
She's perfect. I mean, like, I liked her in BVS, but it wasn't really like a like watching her in BVS. I was kind of like, okay, like, yeah, she's a pretty girl. She's got an accent. She can hold the shield well. But she didn't really prove herself until this movie.
Yeah.
In this movie, she fucking crushed it. She is like, she's not only is she just a gorgeous woman, but she's also like, she can be vulnerable. She can be funny. She has some really funny moments in this movie. Mm. The fucking ice cream.
Oh yeah, the ice cream part was fantastic.
You should be very proud. So good. And she can be like, she can be funny, she can be cute, she can be a fucking badass. Mm-hmm. The action scenes in this movie are fucking incredible.
Yes.
Definitely. They're top notch. Like the scene, like some of the scenes where she's on the battlefield and like when she breaks through the, in that scene we've seen from the trailers, but it's a lot more cleaned up now, where she breaks through the house and she just fucks up everybody in the fucking building. Like, it stands up there with some of the best action choreography I've ever seen. Like, it was so good. And like they give the lore like the respect it deserves. Like, there's no bullshit. Like, this is like Greek gods. Mm-hmm. Which might be a point of contention with a lot of people. A lot of people might, be like, DC Universe is supposed to be a little more grounded than that. I'm like, yeah, not really.
Yeah.
It's grounded, but there's still like Greek gods and aliens and shit in other dimensions and shit like that. How grounded can you possibly be when you have all of that shit in your universe? Like, if all of it needs to be all of it's okay or none of it's okay. People bitch about, why is Zeus in this movie and Ares is in this movie and shit like that, when I'm like, okay, how is that any more weird than there being a Kryptonian, and literally an alien? But no, dude, it was so good. I loved the villain, Ares. So he's the main villain. How'd you feel about him?
Honestly, I had my brain turned off, so like I didn't even see that little twist come. I had my brain shut off watching the movie. Like I saw it with my family. My father actually was like, I called that shit.
I didn't call it either, dude. Like, I was a little bit taken aback by it, because here's the brilliant thing about the twist in this movie. So, Ludendorff is like the big, like, German like officer or whatever, and like it's the obvious thing, like, oh, clearly he's Ares, or Ares is like possessing him or whatever. And Wonder Woman's kind of going on that kind of like thought process with the viewer. And so at the end of the movie, she's got the God Killer sword, and like she has a little fight sequence with him, and stabs it like into his abdomen or whatever, and nothing happens. Because she thought that she thinks that like after she kills the God of War that like men are gonna be all of a sudden good. And she's looking around. She's like, "Oh shit!" Like nothing happened. And I thought that was the point. I thought that was the whole thing was like, even if I do kill Ares, even though I just literally killed Ares, men are just evil.
Yeah.
You know. And even Wonder Woman thinks that, and she's about to like leave Steve Trevor and everything.
Yeah.
And also, just real quick, Chris Pine's fucking awesome in this movie too.
Oh yeah.
Like he's so good in this movie. And I really love this movie. I love how this movie like has action, but it also like takes the time to be quiet. And they have that like beautiful scene where they're dancing in the snow, and man, it's so good.
I know. I saw that a couple people like didn't really like the whole love story thing in there. I liked it. I didn't mind it.
The thing about Wonder Woman, she doesn't, you know, and there are a lot of people who are like, oh, I hope she ends up with Batman, Wonder Bat, blah blah blah. You know. I kind of don't. I don't think she needs a love interest, but I thought that it worked well here.
Yeah.
And I really love, there's the scene at the end where she has the ringing in her ears, and he's talking to her, and we can't hear what she's saying, or what Steve Trevor's saying to her because of the ringing in Diana's ears. And it's not until the end of the movie where like Ares has her chained up. It's not until then that she realizes, or you know, not necessarily realizes, but I think that that's kind of her interpretation of what he was saying. She's like, "Oh shit, he told me that he loved me," and she kind of realizes for herself that love is what makes humanity worth fighting for and worth saving.
Yeah.
Even though there is evil in their hearts, and even though they are capable of war, they're also capable of love. And that's just a good message, dude. Like, it's just, you know, it feels like, the movie feels like, to me, like the Dick Donner Superman movies in a lot of ways. Like, it's just a good-hearted movie, you know? It harkens back to what makes superhero movies super. And it's not necessarily just, you know, punch fest, even though there's a little bit of a punch fest at the end of this movie.
Oh, yeah. The last 20 minutes is, like, full-on punch fest, basically.
Yeah, like there, you know, there's the big fight with Ares or whatever, but at least, you know, and even this I thought they did better than in Man of Steel, because in Man of Steel it's literally like, you know, Zod has landed and I guess I have to fight him now and then eventually snap his neck, which was fucking dumb. But he at least there are stakes in Wonder Woman where you know exactly why they're fighting, and Ares has the mark of a great villain where you kind of can see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
You know, because he's like, man, like my father made these like evil men, and he puts them on a pedestal and stuff, and I'm going to show him the error of his ways, essentially. And like that's the mark of a great villain. You know where he's coming from, and so it makes yes, it's a punch fest, but it makes it have more weight.
Yeah, definitely.
And throughout the entire fight, Ares is still trying to win Diana over to his side. Like at no point is he trying to like kill her. You know, he's trying to get her to see things the way he sees them. Just a really smart, like, well-written movie, dude. I love little moments in the movie. Like, there's that moment. God, this is probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, where Dr. Poison is the other villain in the movie, kind of like sub-villain or side villain. She's a character from like the old comics, and they throw this gas grenade in the middle of these German officers who are about to like pull the plug on Dr. Poison's program.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And they lock the door and they just start giggling behind the door. they're like, because Ludendorff throws a gas mask in there as they throw the gas grenade, and she's like, wait, because she's been developing like a gas that will seep through and destroy gas masks. So that they can win World War I. This movie takes place in fucking World War I. Like, how cool is that? God, so many good things about this movie. Anyway, they like close the door and they're like, yeah, I know, it's awesome. They start giggling and shit. It's so good. I love that. That mascara is like perfect. Like all of
the shots of that was like, it's all, of course it's CGI, but that shit looked beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah. The one and only, speaking of CGI, the one and only major complaint that I have with the movie is the CGI at some points looks a little weird.
Yeah, I actually was having the same thought. Like, a couple parts in that movie, I was just like, eh.
Yeah, it's just like, that looks a little, like, low budge. But, but for the most part, dude, they fucking killed it with that movie. I rank that as high as I can on my superhero movie echelon. Like, I love it as much as any superhero origin story. Like, I put it right up there with, like, Iron Man 1. It's so good, and I can't wait to watch it again. Any final thoughts on it before we close this bad boy out?
I don't know the name of the actress, but I love her.
Who?
Chris Pine's secretary in the movie.
Oh man, that's an excellent point, dude. She's really good. I don't know her name either, but she's very good.
I wanted more of that character. I swear to God, that shit was great.
Yeah. And it makes me sad because like this, presumably, I mean, she's gonna be like dead by the time.
Yeah.
By the time we see Wonder Woman again, so I doubt I think Patty Jenkins has already been signed on to direct Wonder Woman 2, and B, I think she's already said that it's gonna take place like in the present day.
Yeah, I think I read that.
Which makes sense. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to have another movie in like World War I era, but it just goes to show like they got so much good writing fruit out of that area, like with that character of the secretary and with the little group that Chris Pine recruits.
Mm-hmm.
Like those were all good characters. Like it's just a fucking great movie. And man, like I'm so happy. It's such a good win for DC, and it makes the DC fan of me very, very happy, and I can't wait to see where we go next. So yeah, with that, I guess we'll close this bitch out. Go see Wonder Woman if you haven't already. If you have seen it, see it again. Bye.
Oh shit. See ya.